Previously, when Duke Almondite forcefully urged Princess Lewellyn to stay in Bridgent because her life was in danger at the monastery, this stirred up the princess's hellish past and her father's hatred towards her. Moreover, escaping from the Duke's questions, she ran into a corridor where she badly hurt her hand and surprisingly encountered her long-awaited man, Patron Ernell, who healed her hand in his own unique style, leaving her visibly perplexed. After which, he escorted her to her bedroom and revealed that the Asmodeus stigma on her neck was inflicted by the Black Wizards, who offered the blood of many people as an offering. So, let's dive into the chapters 31 and 32 of the manhwa, The Secret Bedroom of the Forsaken Princess. As Patron Ernell discloses that Black Wizards are the ones who put stigma on her neck, Princess Lewellyn panics heavily, after which, the surrounding drowns in complete silence, because the princess deeply reflects on why it never crossed her mind about the people who kidnapped her at that time. However, Ernell interferes, asking why did Black Wizards kidnap her and force to lose control over her desire, at which the princess responds that maybe the Black Wizards did it on impulse. To this, Ernell denies it, saying that those Black Wizards made her like this because they had a goal to fulfill. Hearing his words, she becomes visibly shocked, considering that she was really a pawn for a goal of theirs. And she was not made like this by a cunning black magician, but by someone who wanted her to be like this. Terror fills her eyes as she remembers that she was conscious that day, and she simply assumed the devil cursed her when she was offered as sacrifice. Moreover, she inquires why she was chosen in the first place for this stigma. And was it not a stigma to turn her delirious or to slowly die, but a stigma to make her a bad woman? Nevertheless, Ernell informs her that there are some ways to reverse the stigma, which makes the princess curious, as he states that the first method is to sacrifice the same number of people as them. She directly denies it. Further, he adds that she can kill the person who cursed her. Hearing the word kill, she flinches clearly, pondering that she really needs to kill the person who cursed her. However, how would she find that person? Further, the princess clarifies that initially she thought it was Queen Pamela, but if it were the queen, she would have put a criminal inside her bedroom, who enjoys seeing her reputation tarnished, because her mother was executed for associating with the black magicians, although she would not want to end up the same way. Besides, despite the queen's intents is to curse her, she will not intend to use black magic since it will damage the kingdom's image. Therefore, the princess thinks that although the queen would be the directed suspicion, she would never risk herself by using the Black Wizards. And, with a deep exhale, the princess states that she never would have guessed that there is someone out who hates her to the point of doing something like this. However, Ernell intervenes by saying that maybe the person who does this really liked her. This perplexed the princess clearly, making her completely silent. Seeing her state, Ernell adds that the reason can be simpler than what they think, because it can be someone who is obsessed with the princess and who wants to make her theirs. This revelation prompts her to imagine the face of Duke Almondite, who was earlier in the expedition to eliminate the Black Wizards, so he would likely have some knowledge about them. Moreover, the first man she slept with was also the Duke, but with a gloomy face, she deeply considers the Duke crying face for her well-being. And she firmly responds that it is hard for her to tell the main culprit. Shifting in her direction, Ernell assures her that he would have to investigate a case where 1,000 people died, so the investigation could take a while. But by glancing at the scar on her face, he suddenly extends towards her, pleading her to let him heal her wound. And, as he touches her cheek, a power starts to glow heavily, which eventually leads to activating the stigma on her neck. However, it sends a sudden shock through her body. At seeing this, Ernell pleads her to forgive him because he forgets that the wound is so close to the stigma. Plus, as he radiates a cunning smile, the princess blushingly reflects if it was really a mistake, or he is again trying to take advantage of her situation. In an instant, Ernell asks if he should help her to mitigate the stigma's power. Hearing his words, she confirms her assumptions and becomes visibly embarrassed. However, she shakes her head, contemplating that she is not in the mood to sleep with anyone right now, even more when there are guards right outside her room. Noting her discomfort, Ernell turns to the exit door, stating that he has done his work, so he will take his leave, but swiftly returns back, adding that he will contact her very soon. That leaves a deep question in the princess's mind that Ernell is really a strange person. Nevertheless, with a glowing smile on her face, she reflects that indeed Ernell's visit comforted her, so she is indebted to him, because he healed her wounds and offered her protection. And, when she was unable to rely on anyone, he approached her with kindness. By clenching her fists, she reminds herself that she actually gave up too easily. Besides, the princess determines that she needs to take control of her situations from now on. From here, the scene shifts to next bright morning, where the princess walks to the king's chamber with her escorts. And, as she approaches near his bedroom door, she firmly asks the guard to please notify his brother King Bastion of her presence, at which the guard informs her that the king has banned anyone from entering. Even all the servants are sent away. Undeterred, she directs the guard to inform the king right away. Otherwise, she will wait here until he comes out. However, a very low voice of the king comes from inside, calling the princess's name. And, before she can state anything, the king asks her to come inside his room. Stepping inside the dark bedroom, she halts immediately as she smells a strong reek of alcohol. Unable to see the king anywhere, she calls him, asking where he is. Moreover, when the princess's gaze falls in a particular direction, she gets visibly perplexed, because she witnesses King Bastion drunkenly sitting on the floor with tears in his eyes, surrounded by empty alcohol bottles. However, when the princess worriedly asks what happened to him, the king desperately attempts to say something, but lowers his head as he becomes more upset. Yet, he suddenly screams that he does not have any relationship with Lady Vivian. And he adds that he is not that kind of man to do this kind of thing. Eventually, the princess comforts him, stating that having a one-night stand is not a crime. Besides, he was also unaware that he had a child. Nevertheless, the king denies her words. He then clenches his lip for a moment, and abruptly shouts in anger, informing that his mother Queen Pamela told him to father a child, as if he is a breeding horse. Plus, she forcefully drugged him to sleep with Lady Vivian. These unbelievable words make the princess evidently terrified. Dear viewers, apologies for the interruption. If you're genuinely enjoying the content on this channel, please consider hitting the subscribe icon with all notifications, since this little support of yours will help this creator continue delivering high-quality work to brighten your day. And take a moment at the end of the video to leave a comment, sharing your thoughts on the content. Your feedback means a lot. Now, let's not take up too much of your time and jump back into the story. She joins her brother's dismay as she trembles visibly, reflecting that is why the queen easily believed the baby is her brother's child, as she was certain about it since she was the one who made them sleep together. With heavy tears in his eyes, the king discloses the incidents happened with him that night with the princess, when the queen came to his chamber, ordering him to provide her an heir for the next throne. The king directly replied that he is not ready for that. However, at noting the king's unwillingness, she stated that she would not concern herself with these matters regarding an heir. Besides, she offered him to drink some water to calm down his senses. But unaware of her true motive at the time, he drank the water but soon noticed something was wrong with it. Moreover, before he could realize what was happening, the king's heart started to beat strongly, making his body completely numb. And, as his vision blurred, he witnessed the queen asking a girl to come inside, as she confirmed that the drug was now taking effect. Plus, she asked the lady if she was ready to sleep with the king, who was none other than Lady Vivian. And, in his fuzzy state, he noticed that Lady Vivian undressing to comply with the queen's order. Listening to this, the princess reflects on how Queen Pamela can force her own son to sleep with a stranger just for an heir. Noting her brother's continuous crying, she again comforts him, pleading for him to calm down. However, with swollen eyes, the king yells that he really hates all this and his mother too. He further leans on her thighs and adds that he does not even want to steal her throne, and he really never wanted to become the king. As the princess caresses his hair, the king discloses that for her sake, he managed to push back martial matters till now, but the queen now played her another card. Hearing this, she halts her fingers, realizing that the king is really putting pressure on him for her sake, although she was purposely did not pay any attention to him till now just because he is Pamela's son, whose sole presence bothered her mother a great deal. Moreover, the reason why he did not marry or have children was not because there were no suitable candidates, but just because if he gets married and fathers an heir, one more faction would support the newborn prince, threatening her position to the throne. And, knowing that, Queen Pamela could not sit still, and resolved to choose this method. Furthermore, the existence of his illegitimate child was revealed on his birthday, a day one is supposed to feel the happiest. On top of that, while she was in her own distress for 5 years, the king was also in another hell until this moment. Furthermore, with continuous crying, the king states that he does not even love that woman, but before he confesses that he only loves her, the princess tightly cuddles him, and at noting the king's loud cry, her eyes also start to wet. By stroking his head, she assures him that no matter the situation, she will never hate him. Plus, by sliding away, she suggests him to not worry about her anymore. And, by directly looking in the King Bastion's eyes, Princess Lewellyn pleads him to send her to the monastery very soon, which visibly shocks him. After comforting the king, the princess staggers alone in the empty corridor. Eventually, Commander Tristan notices her as he walks through the same corridor. But before he can say something, his glance falls on her shaking steps. Moreover, as she collapses on the floor, the Duke rushes for her rescue. Upon approaching, she states that she does not have strength in her legs and pleads him to help her out. At complying, the Duke slides his hand behind her waist and swiftly lifts the princess in his arms. However, upon seeing her reaction, he immediately apologizes if he startled her. To this, she responds that she is alright and asks him to escort her to the bedroom. Moving ahead in the peaceful corridor, the Duke grabs the attention of the emotionless expression of the princess. Nevertheless, she suddenly whispers that she wanted to leave, but the king would not let her to do it. Listening to this, he asks her what she is saying. Yet she does not reply anything but simply clenches his fist in terror, remembering how some hours before, when she stated that she wanted to leave the Bryant very soon, the king shouted, saying that she was not allowed to leave. Plus, he angrily asked her if she thought she would be safe at the monastery. Even if the monastery was safe, she could not leave her because if she did, he would not able to endure the loneliness. Moreover, he added that he had also wanted to run away countless times, but he had put up with all of it for her sake only. And, with a determined face, he declared that rather than running away, he would bring his mother down, which left the princess visibly speechless. Besides, by grabbing her hands tightly, the king declared that from this moment, he denounced his own mother. Furthermore, he begged that if the princess stay here, he would help her to meet with Alpheus, the brother whom she loves so much. As we wrap up today's segment, thank you for being with us until the very end. I'll be sharing fresh videos of this manga and exciting new series every weekend. Your support is invaluable, so please subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated. Your encouragement keeps the channel thriving, and I appreciate it immensely. Until next time, take care and goodbye.